All right, so here's what's up. We're going to do lesson 6 here, and just because there are have been in the past so many students that were I'll call it willfully ignorant, that this bubble 6 is the first one we've seen, and of course I'm going to go back through, but bubble 6 is the first one that we've seen that has this, like, one bubble is actually 3, and I really don't like it, but we'll get to it when we get to it. I'm just saying, for those of you watching the video that are just going to scrub through and find the stuff, we're doing all 3 of these. Choose your next activity, as many as you can. We're doing all of them. I'm going to check all of them when we get there. All right, so actually not what I wanted. Let's look at the student resources. So we have okay, so we've done comments before. Those are the little gray bars, or you can go into text and do / or control/ on the line. Debugging, just the term for fixing things that are not working, but already exist, but just not working. And documentation, we have done that before. These videos are kind of, I'll let you watch them on your own, but we'll talk about them later. But documentation, we have talked about before. It's when you mouse over in App Lab, the way you get to it, you mouse over the block, and this will pop up. And from examples, we will see all of the blocks. And the documentation just means like the instruction manual or the reference explanation. And every programming language is going to have something like this. Most of them are just online. And App Lab, I guess App Lab's online too. All right, so just like before, we are going to have most of our outputs to the debug console, just as a place to put things. And we hit run. Let's see what happens. We wait for things to happen. And it gets to line 2, and there's an error. We know there's an error in line 2, not just because of the red square, but the regular way you'd notice is in the debug console, it would say which line the error is on, and depending on the situation, would say even like the character, like line 2 colon 18, and that means like the 18th character in that line is what's broken, or the thing they can't figure out. So here we have an issue when you put in the only parameter for console log is the one that goes in the parentheses. If you want it to print out just the word, it needs to be a string, which is wrapped in quotes. All right, that is the solution to this one. There are times when you'd want a word not in quotes, but that's only if it's already a declared variable, which again we haven't talked about. That's for the next unit. So the solution to this one is just seeing that the parameter for the console log block has, if you want it to print out what's in it, it needs to be wrapped in quotes so that it is a string, as opposed to some other function or variable or number or what have you. All right. And when you do that, it should let you go unless I missed something. That should be fine. All right, so we've got another set of user interface commands, and well, let's just hit it and see what happens. I wish you could set the playback speed and it leave there, but that's fine. We get to line 4 and it says there is an error. Blue hasn't been declared yet. That's because it's looking for a variable named blue, and it doesn't exist. But we don't want it to look for a variable named blue. We want it to be the word blue. So it needs to be in quotes. And in this particular case, it's just the format that App Lab wants it in. They want you to make your parameters a string, which if you click on the drop down for anything, you will generally get what format, what data type it's looking for the parameter. And you should probably also be able to go to the documentation, height, color. Okay, yeah. So for set property, depending on the type of property you're setting, it's going to expect a number if it's something that requires a value. It's a word, it's a string. For things like hidden or not hidden, should be a Boolean, meaning a true false situation. It's expecting either true or false as that parameter. But here we go. We just see it and it runs. Let's set the text color to blue. Bingo, works. All right. Let's have number 3. All right. I'll give you a minute to play around with this and see if you can figure out what's wrong. Want the Okay, so let's see what we got. We've got a single element here, and you could tell there's only one thing if we go to design mode and look at the element drop-down menu. There's only 2 things: the screen itself and an image element that is currently using one of the icons. This isn't a separate image. It's an icon with the background color set to whatever this is, light red. Oh, it's red with transparent. That's why it looks weird. And let's take a look at the problem. We run it. It's looking for mouse over, and it disappeared. Let's try again. Moused over. It disappeared. All right, so let's see if we can figure out why it's disappearing. Hold on. Did I wonder if this is what you have? I think you probably do. And we go like this, and it did jump off again. Why is it? I mean, I know that's the problem, but I thought the values were different. Well, here's a, can we do console.log? No. All right. So this is just like the inverse or the same problem as the Hawk and Sparrow app from the last lesson, where we did a mouse over and it would jump all over the place. Here we have the same problem, or the mouse and not the mouse, the Hawk and Sparrow game, mouse over game, had a overly limited random XY location. Here we need to limit it. Right now it goes from 0 to 400 in the X direction, and should be able to get like at least 1 to stay on. There we go. And so if it picks a random location above, above here, which is X equals 110, if it picks anything above 110, it's going to be partially off. And if it picks anything above 320, it'll be completely off. So we don't want our smiley face X random range to be that high. We want to, just like the last time, max out how far to the right it can go, which here, if we have it at 0, okay, so that touches fine. We could just do the math. If it's 200 pixels wide, that means 320 minus 200 is 120. There we go. It's touching perfectly. So our X range needs to be between 0 and 120. And that should probably, well, that means it's down here with the Y range. So let's look at the Y range. We want it to be somewhere between Y equals 0, which is the top edge, and Y equals 450 minus its height, which its height is 200. So we can just do 0 to 250. And I can't remember if I showed you this before, but you can do arithmetic in these values. The total height is 450, and we want to limit it by the height of the picture. You can do 450 minus 200 if you don't want to do that arithmetic in your head. But we'll do it like that. And now it works. It's choosing random color. And you know what's weird is, so this one starts out with a transparent or partially translucent, partially opaque color as the background. And when we pick random colors, it's not changing that. I didn't realize that AppLab did this, but we are not offering it that fourth parameter to do opacity. Oh, is it frozen? That looks kind of frozen. Oh, that's not good. A fourth parameter for opacity, but since we're not giving it, it's keeping what it has. And this is a bad sign. Either way, that's just an aside. Let's go on, and hopefully it's not irreparably broken. All right, so thank you. I will I'll give you a second to work on this one. There are some instructions. The way that you break this, which this program actually runs pretty well, even though it is an abomination of how things should be set up. And I'll explain why in a second. If I saw this, I would know that whoever made it had no clue. Not no clue. Has very little clue what's going on. But to see what's actually wrong with it, do the following. Hit run, hit the up button, and you can see that, first of all, this is a button that starts out hidden. It's there, but either way, start out with an up button, then play, then stop, then hide, and then do the same thing again. And possibly even again without hitting reset. And you'll start to notice the problem. You can turn up your sound. The way that you know that this is broken is by the sound. And I will bring up my example of what's wrong. Y'all can go ahead and do this if you don't mind, if you're not busy. I'm going to play it on my computer just because I want to make sure that it comes out in the video. All right, so first and most important, the way that I would know that whoever made this is not paying attention, but at least trying. If you have a function definition inside of a function definition, automatic, not even beyond red flag, automatic, it's not going to work except in rare circumstances. It's definitely going to break at some point. If you would never have a function definition inside of a function definition. Function definitions are their own thing. They exist they just sort of exist. Once they're made, you don't need to interact with them. That's sort of the point. And they are sort of self-contained. All right. You would never have anything like this. And that's what's going on here. At least, like, even if you didn't know what the actual error output was, you could just look at this code, this program code, and see that there are function definitions. Yes, they're event handlers or on event blocks, but they are still function definitions functionally. And they are inside of another one. The reason why it doesn't work is the program can only access this function definition if this function is called, or event handler. All right. So just to work through the actual bug, following the directions, run the program. Let's speed it up so it all happens at the same time. Actually, doing it a little slower makes the bug more apparent. But here we go. We go hit the up button, and that was kind of slow. Hit the up button, play the music. Something should play. Stop the music. And without resetting, repeat the process. Okay. Hide the controls. Show the controls. Hit play. Hit stop. Okay. Do you see the console log statements being printed out? The first time through, it did showing controls, playing, stopping, hiding. Now it does showing, playing, playing, stopping, stopping. Okay, let's try it again. Hide, show, and play. It's playing the song 3 times. Okay, because there's no way to end it outside of that function is part of the problem. Either way, the solution is very easy. Copy all or move all of the stuff outside. And if you grab the white space also, it'll look nice. Pretty please. And there we go. And so now I'm going to do it a little faster so it actually happens. Or I'll do it slower so that it, is a fair comparison. And we'll go show. God, it's so slow. Showing controls, play, stop, hide, hiding controls. Okay, showing controls. This was the first time that it said showing twice, the last time through. And we hit play the second time through. Playing song. Okay, so it's not doing it twice the way it was before. And having something work once, but not a second time, is not that uncommon of a problem in programming. I've come across it a bunch where, like, whatever error that happened, it worked. All right, somebody working on this on their own that didn't know that function definitions don't go inside of other function definitions may have accidentally gotten it to work. And the real bug was doing it the second time, which is why when you are debugging or quality assuring, your goal is essentially just to break it. And all right, so that's it for bubble 4. Let's go into 5. All right, hunt for the bug. Is this? Let's row program meant to make sure that when you click each button, that the button gets bigger and the font changes, but there's a problem with the bug. It doesn't work as intended. Read through the program, seeing if you can find out where the bug might be. And we're not doing it with a partner. Just discuss with yourself what will happen and what needs to be changed. Okay, we're looking for both the outcome and the solution. Just work through it. First look at the goal. When you click each button, the button gets bigger and the font changes. All right, read through the event handlers, specifically the parameters of the event handlers, like the words it uses, and see if you can figure it out. I will give you 1 minute to do this. Although 1 minute does seem like a lot. All right, let's see if this actually makes any noise. Just curious. No, find one with the better noise. All right, so just looking at this, reading through, we have an event handler when blue button is clicked, red button font family changes, red button width changes, red. They aren't lined up. The element that they're trying to wait for an event to affect it, to trigger it, goes to the wrong one. Okay. Do we have that work? Let's speed this up. And blue button changes. Blue button click, red button changes. And the same for the reverse. All right. That's the problem. Does it ask you to change it? I don't think we do need to change it or are allowed to change it. Okay, so that is the problem, is the element name and what's supposed to happen. Okay, and let's go with, all right, so for, like I said before, we are doing all of them. I'm going to check all of them. And let's go ahead. I'm going to preload them. You don't really need to. And let's take a look. All right, just as before, let's just see what happens. Okay, run the app, see how it works. We hit run, at least it's already sped up. We have an error, or rather a warning. This on event refers to rooster image, which doesn't exist. Okay, you have that one? I do. Okay, so let's click on this. Looks good. It says cow. That's sort of what we're looking for. We hit the next one, nothing happens. We click on the cat, on the pig, it says rooster. All right, I'll give you a minute to figure this one out on your own, and then we'll hit it from there. All right. So let's work through this. And well, clearly it says first one, we'll deal with the actual errors or warnings. Refers to rooster image, which doesn't exist. What is this actually called? It is called rooster image, not rooster img. Okay. It is a misspelling. Pretty sure I pointed this out before, but it bears repeating several times. When you are bringing something or naming something, name it something that makes sense, something with the element ID, what have you. But when you go to actually choose the element, don't type in the name. You type in the name, you're going to get occasionally typos or some case sensitive issue where if you just click on the drop down, it will give you whatever's there, even if you misspell it. So let's say over here, when I actually made it, I misspelled it. And then I go to type it and I have the right spelled correctly here. Did I do the right one? Yeah. But it doesn't matter because I can look at it from here and go the misspelled one, it'll still work, which is the most important thing. I'm going to put it back just because. Okay, so now we have something for rooster image. Let's see what happens when it's clicked. All right, so it says pig and the pig word shows up. It also, assuming the cow one works, I think we want the output text to be down here. That and the fact that we click on the rooster and it still says cow, well, because nothing's changed and does the pig sound. So there's a couple ways to fix this. Most of the things can sound on image. Is this not what you have? Give me a second. Most of the stuff for the rooster is in the pig one and vice versa, but I'm going to keep them in the same order. Well, yeah, the same order that they are in the pictures. Oh, yeah, I added a thing from there before. All right, so first thing is just a second ago, rooster image is misspelled. And I want both of the pig things, the sound and the word, to be in the pig one and the two rooster ones to be there. Now, this is where let's click on this. It says rooster does the sound, good. And we click on the pig sound, but the wrong text changes. And that's because the property, the set property that's changing the text is changing app name, which is the name of this label up here, not this text area down here. So we do need to switch it to animal text. Then we hit run. There you go. Reorganized, good to go. Now, you need to go, if you hit finish, it's going to take you, or at least let's see what happens. In the past, it's taking you to the bubble 7, which is not what we're doing. We are going to, let's double check and make sure it doesn't. No, it should take you back to the bubbles here. And let's go ahead and do B, or I'll give you a minute to take a look at B. Let's see what the actual problem is in this circumstance. And okay, run the program, see how it works, add code so that the go back button takes the user to the home screen. Okay. Go ahead. This probably shouldn't take you a minute, but I'll give you a minute. Proceed. Okay, so let's see what happens. We hit run. There's only one button here. We click on that, and that doesn't work. Okay, so clearly the uh, harp is on a loop, which we don't want. I'm just going to get rid of it. Um, you don't have to. Okay, so we only have one event handler, which means that there's only one thing that can happen. And when we click on the events button, or the details button as it's called, will take us to the details screen, but we want the ability to go back. So we're going to need an event handler, and we need to know the element ID that we're waiting for an event to happen, and it's called the go back button. And when it clicks, or when we click on it, we just need to set screen to home screen, which I probably could have just clicked on this and seen that there were two. Okay. Please give your screens good element IDs. All right. Just having a bunch of like screen one, screen two isn't going to work. And trying to change it later is a pain, especially when you already have event handlers tied to it. And more times than not, the students that do that, like, don't think about renaming things, they're way too frequently like screen 3 is the second one, and then they made screen 2 as the third. Just give it a good name, even if it's quiz screen 1 or something like that. Whatever order it is what you're looking for. It will help you in the future. So let's see what happens. Hit run, event details, and the go back button. Nope, I messed it up. Needs to go back to the home screen. And go back, and we go back and forth. I think that's it for this one. Okay, and 6.C. Let's see what we have here. This one I think is similar to the farm animal situation with having some things in the wrong place, also missing some things. So let's go a little bit more time. And that'll be that. All right, so let's see what we got here with it, how it works when we get here. So hit run, nothing happens right off the bat. We click on calm. Yeah. And there you go. Why does my F11 hide it now? Okay, so it plays the song and we click on tired. It changes the picture and excited doesn't do anything. All right, so what do we actually need to do? We need to make it so that the excited button works. Song, image, and text. Feel free to pick something that works. This is more of a technical challenge. Other buttons, ideas, websites, image websites. Interesting. So we need to make it so that the excited button works the same as the others. So first thing you'll notice, just going back and forth between these, I'm going to comment out the sound. No, actually, we do need it because there's a stop sound situation. So the first properties that are being dealt with are border width. You can see that when you click on one, the border changes. And you click on the other one, the border changes. Now, it's not just about changing the border width. You have to set the other one back to 0 to get rid of it. Otherwise, it'll just stay on and it loses the effect. I think it's pretty clean effect if you are into that sort of pretty user interface thing. And so actually, first thing you need to do is get out the event handler so we have some space to do it. That's all the same. Okay, and our element is the excited button. And on click, we want to do, well, it's going to look a lot like, thank you. A lot like these first three. You can see they are the same in both. That should be a hint. And we'll go ahead and bring those three in there. But we need to make it work for this button, which means when we click on the excited button, we want the calm button's border width to go back to 0, in other words, invisible. And we want the excited button's border width to go to 2, seems to be that. And so now when we click on this button, border. All right. So there we go. There is that does the button's border. Okay. After that, we have some image select situation, which is main text is this area. You can see when you mouse over, you see the name of it. Main image is this, and sound. Notice that before sound is called, run stop sound. If you don't have that, it will keep the previous sound and over again, we'll keep adding to it, which is not what we're looking for. But let's worry about the image and text. We can really just copy these two lines because it's going to do the same element, image and text that we want, that we already have for that one. So let's just find a picture. I mean, you can look for something excited, but why not this? Let's go like that and copy image address, and the image address that I can just go ahead and put that in here. We are setting the image property of that image. And if you recall, you can go into design mode, look at that element, and see it has an image property. It's the image property of the image is the image address or the icon, whatever. You can change the image property as the program runs, meaning change the actual picture on that image element. And so let's hope this works, just in case there's something weird. I'm going to try it over here. Let's run. Yeah. Okay. So changing the image, all I did was right click on the picture from the search. Remember, set copy image address is what you want. Right click, copy image address, and that is the URL of that picture, and that's what goes in the main image property that right there, and it needs to be in quotes. So if you're highlighting everything, it's not going to work. Like if you highlight this entire thing and get rid of it, it's not going to work. Even if you put in the address, you can see it's looking for a string. Well, actually, it's trying to see if this is a variable, but either way, it needs to be in a string. And then we need to have a text to change something. It doesn't really matter. And that should change everything on the bottom. Okay. And then we just need sounds. I'm going to copy the stop sound and the play sound. And for the play sound, I'm just going to find lovely and not on a loop. Oh, are the rest? Why is vibrant game forever loop entire? Oh, I think the one they gave us is already a loop. It's a loop sound effect. So you wouldn't have it on true because it never gets to it. And I don't know. So long as you know that false means not loop and true means looping, I'll assume you know the difference. And now and there you go. It works. Okay. The only other part of this is a check for understanding, where it's sort of a short personal reflection on what you've learned and what you still don't understand. So please take a second and personally reflect. And that is it for lesson, whatever this is, 6.